I've delivered food on and off for about 3 years, mostly DoorDash, sometimes Uber Eats if DoorDash was slow. It was never supposed to be a real job. It was just something I did after work or on weekends when I needed extra money. Most nights were boring. You pick up food, drop it off, take a blurry picture of someone's front porch, and move on. The worst things that usually happen are bad tips, apartment complexes with no gate code, or people who act like you personally cooked their food wrong. This happened last fall on a Thursday night. I remember the day clearly because I had almost stayed home. It had been raining lightly all evening, not hard enough to be dangerous, but enough to make every road reflective and every porch look the same. I'd gotten off my main job around 6, ate something quick, and turned on DoorDash around 8:30. By 11:45, I was about ready to stop. I had made around $60, which wasn't great, but good enough for a weeknight. Then one last order came in. It was from a Thai place downtown, going to an address about 20 minutes away. The pay was unusually good for the distance. I think it was around $22, maybe a little more. The order itself was small too, just one bag. I accepted it. The restaurant was nearly empty when I got there. One guy was mopping the floor near the front, and the woman behind the counter handed me the bag before I even said anything. "DoorDash?" she asked. I nodded. She pointed at the receipt taped to the bag and said, "That one's been sitting here." I looked at the name. Caleb. Nothing weird about that. I took the bag, got back in my car, and started driving. The drop-off was in an older neighborhood on the edge of town. Not rural, exactly, but one of those areas where the houses are spaced out just enough that it feels darker than it should. Most of the streetlights were either dim or not working, and a lot of the houses had chain-link fences, overgrown yards, old cars in the driveway. The instructions said, "Leave at side door. Do not knock." That's not unusual. Plenty of people say not to knock because of dogs, kids, or roommates. When I pulled up, the house was easy to spot because it was the only one on the street with no porch light on. It was a small, one-story house with pale siding and a detached garage. There was a car in the driveway, but it looked like it hadn't moved in a while. The windshield had leaves stuck to it, and one of the tires looked low. I parked at the curb, grabbed the food, and checked the app again. Side door. I walked up the driveway, past the car, and around the left side of the house. There was a narrow concrete path leading to a small side entrance. The door had one of those cheap metal awnings over it, and there was a motion light above the steps. The motion light did not come on. I used my phone flashlight and saw a small doormat that said, "Welcome friends," faded almost completely white. I set the food on the mat, took the picture, and started walking back to my car. That's when I heard the door open behind me. I stopped, but I didn't turn around right away. I had this weird feeling, like I wasn't supposed to see who opened it. Then a man's voice said, very quietly, "You're late." I turned around. The side door was open maybe 6 inches. I couldn't see inside the house, just darkness. I said something like, "Sorry, the restaurant was backed up," which was a lie. I don't know why I said it. The man didn't respond. I stood there for another second, expecting him to grab the bag or say something else, but the door just stayed open. So I said, "Have a good night," and walked back to my car. As I got in, I looked in my rearview mirror. The side door was still open. Nobody came out. I drove away and told myself it was nothing. Maybe he was high. Maybe he was half asleep. Maybe he'd been waiting longer than the app said. That should have been the end of it. But about 10 minutes later, I got another order. Same Thai restaurant, same customer name, Caleb. At first I thought it was a glitch. Then I checked the address. It was the same house. I almost declined it, but the pay was even higher this time. $31 for one item. I know that makes me sound stupid, but when you're doing delivery apps, a $30 order on a slow night gets your attention. I figured maybe the guy forgot something. Maybe he ordered again by mistake. Maybe he was drunk. So I accepted it. When I got back to the Thai place, the woman behind the counter looked confused to see me. "You again?" she asked. "Same guy," I said. She looked down at the bag on the counter and frowned. "That order came in right after you left." This time, the bag felt lighter. The receipt said it was just one container of soup. I got back in my car and headed to the house again. I remember feeling irritated more than scared. The rain had picked up a little, and I didn't like going back to the same dark house twice. When I pulled onto the street, I noticed something right away. The side door was still open, not wide open, just the same 6 inches. I sat in my car for a moment with the engine running. The app still said to leave it at the side door, do not knock. I grabbed the bag and walked up the driveway again, but this time I didn't go as fast. I kept looking at the windows. They were all dark. No TV light, no movement, nothing. When I got to the side door, the first bag was gone. I placed the second one on the mat, took the picture and turned around. Then I heard the man's voice again. This time, it came from inside the house, right behind the crack in the door. You didn't look. I froze. I said, what? He repeated it. You didn't look. I didn't know what he meant. I didn't want to know. I just said, I left your food there and started walking away. Then he said my name, not my first name from the DoorDash app, my last name. I stopped in the driveway. My last name is not common. It's not on my profile. Customers see my first name and maybe my last initial, but that's it. For a second, I thought maybe I had delivered to him before. Maybe he knew me from somewhere. Maybe it was someone messing with me. But the way he said it was what got to me. He didn't say it like he was asking. He said it like he'd been waiting to see if I would react. I got in my car and locked the doors. The moment I pulled away, the order marked itself as completed, even though I hadn't confirmed anything yet. That's when I turned the app off. I drove straight home. I lived in a second-floor apartment at the time with my girlfriend, Mara. She was asleep when I got back, so I didn't wake her. I just sat at the kitchen table for a while, still wearing my jacket, trying to make sense of it. I checked DoorDash again. There was no record of the second order. The first one was there, but the second one wasn't in my earnings, my completed deliveries, nothing. I thought maybe I was tired and somehow confused 2 different addresses, but I knew I hadn't. I remembered the street, I remembered the house, I remembered the side door. I didn't sleep well that night. The next morning, I told Mara about it. She thought it was creepy, obviously, but she also tried to talk me down. Maybe the app glitched, she said, and maybe he looked you up from your license plate. That made me feel worse. I didn't do deliveries the next night or the night after that. By Sunday, I had mostly convinced myself it was just one of those weird things that feels scarier because it happens late at night. Then, on Monday morning, I found the bag. It was sitting outside our apartment door, a white plastic takeout bag from the Thai restaurant. The receipt was still taped to the front, customer name, Caleb, but the delivery address printed under it was mine, my apartment number and everything. I didn't touch it at first, I just stared at it. Mara opened the door behind me and said, "What is that?" I told her not to touch it. She stepped around me, saw the receipt, and went completely quiet. I called the non-emergency police line. They sent an officer about an hour later. He took a look at the bag, asked a few questions, and basically told us there wasn't much they could do unless there was a direct threat. He did take the bag with him, but I could tell he thought it was probably some weird prank. Before he left, he asked if I had any enemies. I almost laughed. No, I didn't have enemies. I was a 26-year-old guy who worked at a print shop and delivered pad thai to strangers at night. After that, Mara wanted to stay at her sister's place for a few days. I agreed immediately. We packed some clothes, grabbed our laptops, and left that afternoon. For the next week, nothing happened. No bags, no messages, no weird orders. Eventually, we went back to the apartment. I stopped doing delivery apps completely. I deleted DoorDash and Uber Eats from my phone and figured that was the end of it. About 3 weeks later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't answer. They called again, then again. Finally, I picked up, thinking it might be work. There was no greeting, just breathing. I was about to hang up when the man said, "You're still not looking." I felt my stomach drop. I didn't say anything. He said, "Go to your window." I hung up immediately. Mara was on the couch, and I must have looked bad because she sat up and asked what happened. I told her not to move. Our living room window faced the parking lot. The blinds were closed, but not all the way. There was a tiny gap between 2 slats. I walked over slowly and looked through it. At first, I didn't see anything unusual, just cars, a dumpster, the yellow light above the stairwell. Then I saw him. A man standing across the parking lot, under the tree near the mailboxes. He was wearing a dark rain jacket with the hood up. He wasn't looking at our building. He was looking directly at our window. I backed away so fast I hit the coffee table. Mara called 911. By the time police got there, the man was gone. They searched the parking lot and the area around the building, but of course, they didn't find him. One officer said the cameras near the leasing office might have caught something. They didn't. The cameras had stopped recording for about 40 minutes that night due to what management called a network issue. After that, we broke our lease. It cost us money we didn't really have, but Mara refused to stay there another night, and I didn't blame her. We moved into a smaller place about 30 minutes away, different town, different county. I changed my phone number. I got a new license plate. I stopped posting anything public online. I even deleted my LinkedIn, which felt dramatic at the time, but I didn't care. For a while, things were normal again. I started to feel stupid for being so scared. Then, last month, almost a year after it happened, Mara and I ordered dinner from a sushi place near our new apartment. We didn't use DoorDash. We ordered directly through the restaurant's website. When the delivery guy arrived, he looked annoyed. He handed me the bag and said, "Sorry, man, they gave me 2 orders for you, but one of them got canceled." I asked what he meant. He said, "There was another bag with the same address, different name though." I asked him what name. He looked down at his phone. Then he said, "Caleb." I didn't take the food inside. I left it on the porch and told Mara to pack a bag. She didn't ask questions. That night, we stayed at a hotel. I know how this sounds. I know it sounds paranoid. Maybe that's what this whole thing has done to me. But before we left, I checked the porch one more time through the peephole. The sushi bag was still sitting there. And next to it, placed perfectly on the welcome mat, was a white plastic bag from that same Thai restaurant downtown, the one 20 miles away. The receipt was facing up. No customer name this time, no address, just one line printed across the top where the order number should have been. You looked.